Hey, how are you today? Okay, please unmute your.
Oh, okay. It was muted. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How are you?
it's been a long while.
Yeah.
How are you on your computer?
Yes, of course.
I don't know. Like my head is showing that it's one-sided here. I don't know how it's showing on. Is it like centralized?
Yes, it's centralized. It is. I can see you very well.
Oh, okay. Because my face is showing like this. So I wasn't sure whether it's my camera or something else.
Maybe it's your camera. Maybe our audience can confirm that they can see you and see you very well, right? So,
Okay.
um, you know, because it's time already, we're going to kick off today's program, and um, we are going to go ahead to start so that we can finish right on time. Thank you so much for sparing all this opportunity at this time to come be with us. You know, when we spoke the last time, you mentioned about your activities and your programs and that you want to travel and things like that. And because of that, you made it available to us. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is your device on? I think it's my voice is coming back to the system.
You mean me?
Yes, is your phone on this call?
My phone? Not really.
Okay, okay. All right, so Pantaleon, your name is fully displayed on this on the screen, and everybody can see your name. But please, if you don't mind, can you tell us about yourself?
Cool. Well, what is in the name? So, everyone, good afternoon, good evening, if you're in Nigeria or joining from anywhere else. My name is Nzubechi Pantaleon Uwaleme. I'm from Nigeria, but currently residing in the United States. So, for the purpose of this conversation, here in my capacity as a scholarship recipient, specifically the Joan B. Kroc Institute Scholarship at the University of Notre Dame. I completed my undergrad studies at FUTO, Owerri in Nigeria, and proceeded to do my master's here in the United States. So I guess that will be enough for the introductions, so that we can jump right
Thank you. That's
into
amazing.
this.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We got you to come on board on World Scholar Summit. This is the fourth edition, and
Okay.
it's super amazing to have you come inspire us today and help a lot of people who want to go to the same journey that you've been through to make their journey easy by showing them the way, the process, and it took to the point where you are now. All right. So uh, I'll go ahead to let's run through. So, sir, right on the screen, what inspired your scholarship journey?
Yeah, sure. Just to kind of be very brief and concise, this conversation is really important. I would even want us to have more time for like people asking questions. So I would just like go direct to the point, because I have so many things to talk about, but I think this is not the space to really unravel all of them. So I've always been, wanted to advance my like studies after undergraduate degree. So it is like kind of like part of my life goals to get a master's degree here in the US or elsewhere, probably before 25, which being someone from, middle income household, for you to be able to do that, it has to be on scholarship or funded because of the cost of that level of education, for someone like me. So while studying at FUTO, all I did was to make sure that I had the CGPA that would be acceptable for advanced studies, in this case, master's or PhD, because there has to be like a cutoff CGP before you can do those studies. So it's all happened as planned. So, however, my career focus was to change from surveying to global affairs, specifically speaking, international peace building, a field of study that was inspired by my years of experience from volunteering in the field of with some NGOs and doing community development work. So after my NYC, it's either I pursue my master's or I pursue my master's. So there was no other alternative. Because there was no other opportunity. Like, there was in my head, there is nothing else that I could be doing after my NYC if not to do my master's. I was not interested in working, at that point because my life plan has to be followed. So I even applied to Chevening, but that story for another day. So in sum, my scholarship journey was inspired as a result of the details of my life plan, my eligibility for such opportunities as well, and my capacity to compete at those opportunities. So straightly, it's just a matter of my life goals and what I was hoping to get that really inspired me to pursue the scholarship journey.
Thank you so much. So it was either masters or masters.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I think determination, pre-planning has a lot of role to play in the journey or your scholarship journey. So, and because we are going to be taking a lot of questions, a lot of people who would want to ask us questions who want to come on board, we are going to go straight to all of the questions we have here for you before
Okay.
people send in their questions. And thank you, Scholar Web Scholarship Premiers. It says the audio and video was very clear. Okay, it's clear. Thumbs up for this. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue. How has the experience been as a Joan B. Kroc fellow? What are the benefits of applying for this fellowship?
That's a very good question. Thank you for that. I will have to say that the experience has been really amazing in the first place. First of all, you have to, you get to have access to diverse culture, experience, network, and a community. That's the first thing you have to comment if you're talking about experience and also the benefit, because my program was pretty diverse. There were students from 22 different countries.
Wow.
For the program. So I have, classmates from all over the world, Asia, Africa, Europe, America, South America, and everywhere in the world. So everyone was like represented. So that is kind of a rare opportunity to have everybody in one place doing the same program and sharing experiences. So secondly, one of the benefits is also, having access to the best crop of faculty members. When I mean faculty members, I'm talking about like professors and all those who you are in school with, and also policy makers, and especially like the state of the art facility that you have for whatever kind of study or research that you're doing. So, you find yourself in a place where every single thing that you need to succeed as a student is readily available for you. You don't have to struggle for anything. Is it the library? Is it the equipment? Is it the research facilities? Is it the support? So whatever you need, is the list is very, very unexhaustive, and you can begin to think about. Sometimes you can't utilize all of them. So that's the kind of environment that you find yourself in. Also, one of the benefits is you have this change of mindset, your perspective and broad understanding of the world that you live in begin to kind of emerge. You begin to have kind of a new perspective and understanding of what this world is all about beyond your community or where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Is your life will never remain the same, to be honest with you. Because I'm always very, very particular about this thing. That's the thing about, even if I'm not talking about having money, because having money is one thing, is one aspect of life. But generally, when you talk about your life being the same again, you can never go back to where you started from. There's no way of being here, being exposed, and having this kind of knowledge. You can't go back to square zero again, no matter how hard life turns out to be for you. And the most important one, like the phrase we use here is always like free money. or we call it free money. We don't always refer to it as scholarship. Because so what a scholarship is the money. Someone is paying for your school fees. You don't even get, we didn't see the money, right? Nobody gives you the money. Nobody pay the money into your account to pay for your school fees. You are just like going to school, right? How everything happens, you don't even. So it's like we have free money that we don't even know where it's coming from. So it's quite a relief for someone who's interested in studying. So you focus on your academics and you continue. And the last but not the least, depending on your program, you might have to travel for field experiences. You connect with policymakers in different aspects of the world. When I mean like leaders of institutions, you to real world solutions to real life change problems. So in my own case, I had to travel to different places during the course of my study and be able to experience different environment and different cultures as part of my research. So there are so many benefits. These are just like some of them. And if others have questions to ask, I can still delve into them more.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. When you said no matter how hard life turns out, you can never return to the zero
No,
ground.
no, no, no. You can't go back to square zero.
That's amazing. All right,
Yeah.
so next on our list, please look at this. What's the Joan Kroc B. Kroc Fellowship all about? Can you tell us about it so people who don't know about this fellowship that you actually benefited from will know about it and possibly go ahead to seek the opportunity too?
Yeah, it's just a very quick one. The Joan B. Kroc Institute Fellowship is a program, a fellowship that you award fully funded a scholarship to students or scholars or practitioners in the field of peace building and international development to pursue a graduate degree in international peace studies. It could be a master's, it could be PhD. So depending on your level. So it is kind of exclusive to those who have interest in global affairs, international development, and peace building, conflict kind of thing. So, but there are other like programs alongside my own that relates to sustainable development, education management, and so many other fields within the global affairs. So it's not just like peace building, but peace building is mainly for those who, the John B. Kroc Institute Fellowship is mainly for those who are interested in peace building, and which is the one that I received, right? So that's about the fellowship, and it is open to people from different aspects of the world. So wherever you are from, whether you're in Africa, Asia, Europe, wherever you are from. So everyone is kind of eligible to apply. So it is not restricted to any particular set of country or eligible country. Everyone is, required or encouraged to apply. Yeah, but I
That's
can like more details about the program generally, not just the fellowship. Yeah, later on.
That's great. Thank you so much. That was really detailed. I think anybody who is on this call and who is watching us would have gotten some insight about this fellowship. So I'm trying to talk to everybody who is watching us now. Please do drop us a comment on the comment section. Tell us where you're watching from, okay? And possibly use the share button to share this video because it is going to benefit someone out there who will get an opportunity, just like Mr. Pantaleon Uwaleme has gotten this opportunity to travel out, get his master's degree on full scholarship. I think someone actually gave that information to you, or were you just researching somewhere online and you find out?
So it was my own personal research. Like anything
Hmm?
that is very much important to me, like something I'm really looking for. I don't allow, like I don't put it in the hands of other people because they might
Okay,
be, or they might not really know exactly what I'm looking for. So it was my own personal research, and before I stumbled upon it, and it became something like it became what I've been looking for, right? So yeah.
that's great. All right. Okay. Look at this question. We are asking. you to help us share a little challenge or the challenges you faced while making the application. Was it your first application?
Yes, it was the first time applying to this particular one. Uh,
Okay.
in my own case, I think I have a very unique challenge, more or less not like the general challenge that people have applying. But in my own case, I would say my major challenge was time and
Okay.
the application fee payment process. I will talk about that later. So, if I tell you the story, you won't like believe it, but I had very limited time to find, research, understand, prepare, and apply for the scholarship. You know, everything happened within 48 hours. That's like 2 days.
Like seriously?
It was it was to be 24 hours, but they extended it by another day. I think people complain about not finishing on time. So I don't know what happened, but I know that they extended it by another day. So that gave me but it was 24 hours, and I was struggling to make everything happen within 24 hours. So it wasn't like the chevening that you know about. You start preparing on time. So once the application opens, you start sending your essays. No, this is something I was literally doing. I was in a library in Lafayette. I was doing my NYSC then in Nassau State. So I was in Lafayette, their e-library, trying to do some research. And it occurred to me, that was on a Friday. It occurred to me that, I needed to look for schools online about scholarship and stuff. And how I came across, I think it was on their account. So so when I applied, when I got the information, I was like, this is really interesting. I want to apply for this. I was very much excited, about applying. Then what happened next was I looked at the deadline and it was that day. That is, I mean, that was nothing I could. I was like, today is Friday, and that was on the 15th of December, 2017. I remember the day very because it was a very, very defining moment. So I was like, today, I don't like. I looked at through the requirements, and it was like, reference letters, three of them, statement of purpose, your CV, your transcript, everything was just like, man. And another thing was, I looked at all the requirements, I met all the requirements. I felt like this is exactly what I'm looking for. And if time is going to be the only problem I have, then I will learn how to beat time today. So I started everything I can. I started like calling, people I know that will write reference letters for me. I reached out to them, I wrote email to them, started calling their phone, started looking at my previous CV. Everything was just like happening so fast. I didn't have segment of people's like, man, I had to write that thing or like under duress. Like, it was happening so fast. So when I got a bit of release, what in the midnight around 11:50, 10 minutes before 11:59, before the day goes by and the deadline is over, I was thinking that immediately it reaches 11:58, I will hit the submit button, whether it is complete or not. I went back to their social media to check if there's any updates, and lo and behold, I saw an update that the application deadline had been extended till Sunday. So which means I had one more day, Saturday, to finish what I started. So from finding about it, checking my eligibility, writing essays, preparing my documents, making payments, getting recommendations, and finally applying, it was like one of the busiest moments of my life. And having to muster the courage and focus to pull it off was an indication that, I have the ability to withstand and survive under pressure, that kind of a thing. So, secondly, the application fee payment was to be made with credit card. We don't use credit card a lot. We use our ATM is more of like debit, so it's only people who use credit card, and which I didn't have then. And when I was in Nigeria, so getting someone to pay for me here was really like a challenge, and it was something I had to tussle again. Finding people who that will have that card and can make the payment on time for you was another thing. So in general, I would say everything was really happened so fast. So I didn't have time. That was a challenge I had. And also the process of making sure that the application was submitted. Because if you don't pay application fee, it will be as though your application was not received. So those were the two things that I felt were really, really challenging for me. But I'm glad that I was able to like pull it off. But I would say that everyone is different. I might not be lucky as me or have the ability to coordinate themselves, to beat deadline within that limited time. So starting early and having all the details at hand is also very important, which I will address later on.
That's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. So, did you did you by chance get a rejection email?
Rejection email, not if I got rejection email, so
You have
I wouldn't be here talking to you about this. But I did get rejection emails for other scholarships I applied for. The first time I had a huge rejection email was in 2013. I applied for the Korean government scholarship or something, and I made it through the final stage. So I was a finalist. We were waiting for the names to be released. I even went to Abuja for interview in their Korean embassy and everything. So, but when the decision came out, I wasn't among the two people that were chosen. And also Chevening, I told I applied for Chevening earlier. So I applied for Chevening and I got all the admission from the universities I applied to in the UK, but the funding from Chevening is what I didn't get. So the common experience between these two is that I was, depressed at that moment, thinking, what might have gone wrong, right? The fact was like people that read my essay, people I sent my essay to read so that they will know if it is okay or not. They were all impressed with, my achievements and what I proposed to do with the scholarship, but couldn't wrap my head around, why, where my weakness lies. Right? So it's usually very hard when you don't know the reason why you were rejected. So, you know, they usually send out these emails, your application was very nice, blah, 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 but sorry, we couldn't, that kind of a thing. It's usually not helpful for people who are struggling or trying because then they wouldn't know exactly
exactly.
where they were, why they were
Yeah,
not, select. So
yeah,
if people can really, I know there's so many like applicants, so you can't write individual, writing individual letters to all of them. But I know, but as sometimes telling people where their weakness lies, where you think made them not to merit this scholarship, right? It will
yeah.
to really understand and be able to, build up in future if you had to really get that kind of thing. So what was really devastating for me or depressing for me was, those two experiences, I didn't exactly know why I was turned down. Because the Korean government owned, I concluded I would get it because all the candidates I came with, I beat all of them in the interview every but at the end of the day, your name didn't show up. So it was really frustrating for me. So, but for this one, um, I had the feeling that I will get this scholarship that I got because I tend to think that I'm qualified because all the languages they are speaking on their website about the scholarship and the requirements the languages that I know and I have them, right? So I feel like if there is anything that will make me not to get this scholarship, right? I don't know about that thing. So the decision period came the week we are supposed to get, kind of feedback from them. And once I saw their email, I was, the subject was, congratulations. I didn't bother to read the body again. I went and slept. I went and slept I slept very well for those 2 days that they gave me problems. When I finished sleeping, and then come and took my computer and relaxed. And as I was reading the details, I was just like laughing and smiling sheepishly. So, yeah, I did have rejection emails, but they really enabled me to, kind of leave no stone unturned. When next I'm applying for global opportunities, I know that I don't really have to, put in my application hoping that something will happen. So I always like be intentional about the things I apply for and make sure that before I apply for it, I know that I have 90% chances of getting it. So I'm tired of reading those thank you but kind of emails.
All right. So, as a scholar in the US,
Yeah.
how easy is it to apply and win a scholarship in the US?
Um, how easy it is to apply for a scholarship in the US. Um,
Like on a scale of one.
yeah, I would say for me, I would say eight. Depending on who you ask, but for me, I would say eight. People's perspective differs, from other people. So from
Okay.
my applying to US scholarships is the easiest because most US scholarships do not require separate application. You understand what I mean? So they don't, scholarship or funding comes with your admission. So if they are very confident enough to admit you to the program, and they're confident enough to give you the money. So that's how most of their system works. Unlike US or UK or Canada public scholarship, where you have to write long essays about why you need a scholarship more than others. They have long forms you fill and stuff, but most US schools don't do that. Sometimes they will tell you that it's funding attached to this program. If you're admitted, you get the funding. That's a language you almost read on their website or most of the time. So I would say it's very easy. For me, it's on a scale of 1 to 10 is 8. But the challenge lies in identifying those schools. And I may not really be mentioning the names of schools, but I think telling people how they can do that is much more fruitful than just giving you the name, right? So that even if that one is not available, you know how you can find other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So, we discuss some means that people hear about applying or getting scholarships in the US. So, before you got the scholarship, what was really in your head?
Um, so about the myths, if you ask some people, they will say like it's difficult to get into US schools. But for me, I would say it is not. Sometimes they will say US schools offer little funding compared to UK or Canada, but I would say the US has more funding. So in my own experience, all these other places, they have more of public scholarships. Or like UK has more of public scholarships. They have Commonwealth, they have Chevening, they have Rhodes, they have, but in the US, it's more of private scholarship. When I say private scholarship, like scholarship is there, but it is not advertised so publicly that everyone knows about Chevening now. Or
Yeah.
come on, if you're from the colonized countries of the UK, you know about Chevening. So everyone but there's some scholarship in the university that people don't know about. Like when I was in Notre Dame, I saw many Nigerians on campus. I'll be like, nah, where you won't pay for all these things, because it's a private university and the school fees is very outrageous, like $55,000 a year in tuition, not living expenses. So you know how much that one means in Nigerian currency or any other African currency. So I'd be like, how were you able to pay your school fees? I be your father na senator. I mean, so they will tell you like it's funded or they're on scholarship, and you begin to imagine and there's so many scholarships in this school I didn't know about, right? So that's what I'm hoping that people can ask about. And I think the myth is like usually lies in the fact that it is hard or it is not easy to get into the United States. But my own would be it is one of the easiest places to access if you know the right way and you know how to go about it.
That's amazing. So, what are the major factors that hinder people from applying for scholarships in the US?
And this one is my favorite question actually.
Okay.
um, so the major challenge I would say is entrenched on one, not knowing your options, right? There's nothing you can do efficiently if you don't know the options that you have, right? So this is number one factor that hinders people. Secondly, it is easier to get scholarship or financial aid from private universities than public universities. Because private universities they have more endowments that are focused on scholarship. Endowments is more like donations from either the alumni in the past or people who have money they don't know what to use the money for. They just donate it to different universities. So most of this funding goes to private universities. In my own case, my university is one of the top 10 universities in the US in terms of their funding. So another factor that hinders people is lack of knowledge about what funding might be available. Financial aid pages are always important. Like if you go to every school, and if you're looking to apply to universities, the first place to go for, if you are so much concerned about funding, is to go to their financial aid page. That's the first thing you do and find out how the system works. And sometimes they will tell you financial aids are available, but they won't tell you to what extent on how much. Because one of the things I noticed about Americans is that they're always willing to help you in terms of answering your questions. They like when you ask questions because, in the place where I come from, if you're asking too many questions, people will get so annoyed or distracted. Why are you asking me too many questions and stuff like that? But it's the opposite here. People love to answer questions. So they expect you to write those emails and ask about funding. They are willing to tell you what fundings are available or the options that you have. So lack of knowledge is really one of them. Another thing is the fear that asking for funding will jeopardize the admission chances. If
Okay.
you're for a school, right, and you want to write to them that you don't have money, you want to apply for funding, my friend, those monies are there. They're looking for people to take it. If you don't ask, they won't give you. That is if the program you're applying for doesn't have inherent scholarship. That's what we call inherent scholarship. There's scholarship like that attached to the program. So once you're admitted, they give you money. And they have fundings, financial aids that are need-based or upon request. They'll have to assess like, okay, you get this admission and you don't have money. What can we do for you? That's something I will touch on later. It's called blind admission. Most schools do that. Blind admission is where you apply. They assess you based on your qualification. They don't look at anything money. And once you're admitted, you must finish. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Admitted, money will not be your problem.
Okay.
They won't tell you that there is money. They won't talk about anything funding about your application. Just apply. If they assess you based on your qualification, you apply. Then let's talk about money later. And most of these big schools, Harvard, yeah, they do that. That's why you see somebody from low income going to Harvard, wondering how are they able to afford Harvard, but nobody will tell you all these little secrets. And I think the other one is, not knowing that, U.S. universities, they like to answer, I mentioned, they like to answer questions regarding financial aid and any other country. So I feel like this mainly surrounding around like lack of knowledge. People don't know so much about funding. People don't know so much about what options are available to them. Because if you know your options, then it will make you to want to try your chances, right? And even at this level of uncertainties, somebody said, "Ask and you shall receive." That's the thing. As long as you meet the requirements, the eligibility requirements, right? And they're able to admit you. Like there's somebody that told me like, she applied to one program in American university and she was admitted. And where will she get the money that she's going to use to pay for her school fees? I told her, write to this financial aid department. She wrote to them the first email and they offered to give her 70%.
Wow.
If you didn't talk, you wouldn't know that there is money.
You wouldn't know.
I told her again, tell them that you appreciate the 70%, but still you can't afford to pay the remaining tax. Give her an option of paying her tuition like 100%, but she has to work for her living expenses. I say, you see, your problem is solved. So, people I like lack of information or, not knowing your options or the chances that you have is basically, this is like outside of the scholarship that are kind of advertised for you. But there is usually like financial aid office in every institution that makes sure that admitted students, you have a problem if you are not admitted, right? Because then there is no relationship. They can't promise you money if you're not already like into their school. But if you're a student already and you're struggling, then they'll find a way to make sure that you are finished. You finish your program.
Okay, are you saying that for someone to apply to some of these private school scholarships, you have to have got admission with the school, right?
Like I said, it's like like it varies. If the scholarship is attached to the program
Okay.
to apply for scholarship, once you're admitted, it will tell you that the program comes with funding and blah blah. You see everything in your admission letter. Then, if sometimes they offer you 50% tuition, sometimes they give you financial options. Sometimes they'll tell you like, okay, you can take up student assistantship for your living expenses and upkeep. Then the department will provide funding for your tuition, right? So then the blind offer I'm talking about is like just like you wake up now, you say you want to go to Harvard, and you start applying to the program you want to go for in Harvard. So they will assess your application, and if you meet the requirements and you're a good candidate, they will take you. So it's after they have taken you in that they'll start discussing about money. You can even if they didn't reach out to you further about fund, you can ask them about fund that you don't have money to run this program, blah blah blah, and you might be surprised that there is already money existing for students like you. So it is not pronounced until you are admitted. And so, which I mean, the summary is: if you see any program you're interested in any of these schools, just apply. If you get admission, then is another discussion about the funding aspect.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. I wanted to ask you how easy it is to get scholarship, but you've taken time to expand on that. So you would want to get some list of scholarship.
Yeah, and also, yeah, just to add to that before you skip that aspect, um, one thing I want to mention is that almost all the graduate programs are funded. You know, like I would say 70% masters and PhD. PhD is it's always funded. You don't that one is not debatable. Because before they offer you a PhD opportunity, there is already funding for that. They don't admit and then look for funding, right? Because most like if you're doing a research PhD, the professor you'll be working with must have received a research grant for that research. So they will need to then admit PhD students to work on that or to work with a professor on that area. Right? So PhDs are usually funded. Then there are people that like to do their part-time. If it's part-time PhD, which means you are sponsoring yourself, then you're paying small. You're paying according to paid hours. Those ones are different. Like people who are working and then doing PhD side by side. That one is a different. But I'm talking about full-time. Most full-time PhD programs are funded, fully funded, right? They give you the funding from the research, and the professor and the department pays you for teaching assistantship, right? So masters is a bit different. Some masters are funded, while some are not. While some have scholarship, but PhD you don't talk about this. Some of these PhD scholarships are mainly the ones you see, Mastercard or Chevron for PhD, then for masters and all of that. But in the US, it's different. Almost all the graduate programs have some kind of funding attached to it. You know, Either through the research grant by the professor or the student assistantship, or the department has endowment that pays for students' tuition in that particular program. Also, big universities are the most generous because of the numerous endowment that they have, right? So look at Stanford, Yale, Princeton, MIT, all of them. These universities they have money, right? So if you're looking at public universities are mainly like the ones owned by the state or the county or owned by those ones are mainly not. Sometimes what they give you is loan if you're a U.S. citizen or a resident. But international students have to pay their way for those schools. But private universities are the ones that have money for international students. You know.
Okay, private universities have money for international students.
Yeah, private universities they're always big and they have a lot of endowments. You know, in my school, University of Notre Dame is a private university. They have money, they have endowment, and they admit a lot of international students from different countries. Most of them are on scholarship, you know. So yeah, the bigger the school, the bigger the money. That's that's, that's how
That's
it is.
that sounds good. Okay, so can you share with us some of these scholarship opportunities available for students who want to study in the US?
So like I said earlier, I'm going to. I think there's a link. I don't know how I can.
Drop me on the chat on maybe on Facebook chat. I
Yeah,
can copy from there.
yeah. I'm going to. Yeah, I'm dropping the link to you. Um, hold on, in the chat. Let me see. Yeah, I sent you a link. So
Okay.
that link I sent to you in the chat is a list compiled by my colleague from the master's program. So this is mainly for undergraduate, but for international students, and it's full ride. That is 100% scholarship. As if people who are interested in undergraduate studies, but for graduate studies, more like masters and PhD or postgraduates. Um, it is very kind of hard really pinpointing. Like if it's about UK, now you can readily mention Commonwealth, Rhodes Scholarship, Chevening, or Mastercard, all of them for Canada and all
Yeah.
of. But in the US, is in the US the kind of the general one is Fulbright. They have Fulbright for studies, they have Fulbright for language teaching and all of that. But I would say that the need blind and it's the one I talked about. Like once you get in, you can afford to go. And I just want to admit you, then you are sure that you can complete your studies.
Yeah.
Mainly MIT does that, Harvard does that, Princeton does that, Yale University does that, even my school does that. But the thing is, this is the secret I will share with people, right? The first step to finding scholarship is one, knowing the program you want to study.
Okay.
Let's study computer engineering. That's number one thing you have to ask. What do you want to study? People always like to look for scholarship, and when they get a scholarship, they find out that the program is not among the
Okay.
most public scholarship are restricted. They have so many countries they take students from, criteria, this and that, blah blah blah. The thing is, find the program first that you're interested in. The second step is to find schools that offer that program in the US.
Yeah.
These are the first two steps. Once you find the program and the school that offer it, the next thing you're going to do, don't just go to the school's department. Like the program, like if you read on the school's website, you go to the school's the department for that particular program and look at the admission requirements.
Okay.
There's usually a tab or a menu that talks about funding or financial aid. Right. So if they have the rule of get admitted and get funded, they will tell you all admitted students will receive scholarship. So those ones they don't announce it. You don't see it on anywhere. So I actually find it very, I'm usually living with people who tell you, please find schools for me that are doing this thing. Like, this is a simple what Google can do for you. But sometimes the way we search for things might not really produce the required results, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like every department has a section about financial aid or funding. And if your particular program, is quite eligible, you will see it. Then they will tell you other financial options that international students have. Right. So it's not about the name of the scholar because if you are to go into competitive scholarship in the US, you might not find so many of them in
Okay.
any of the public scholarship. But almost you might be surprised that the program that you're applying for has scholarship or funding attached to it. Right. So follow the process of find the program, look for schools. It's very easy. You can even Google, they can put it in the Google search like schools that offer, petroleum engineering or masters in petroleum engineering or PhD in petroleum engineering in the US. There is this like skies like what scholarship showroom. The other side that what they do is to arrange programs according to either masters or undergraduate or PhD. So you always find our results there. Then from there you can link to each of the schools, read about the program, go to their financial aid section. So I'm very sure of this. Like if you look at 20 schools that offer the program that you have. Out of that 20, not 10, 15 will have attached funding, full funding. That is like it's not like me trying to make this, this is something I have experienced, right? If I want to do now, it's going to be full funding, right? Because there are so many schools that I know that, if I look at their PhD program, they probably have research funding attached to the program of interest. So it's not about looking for the name of the scholarship. Look for the program, find the department, and get funding information that you need. It's very easy. US is very easy for me. If you ask me, compared to UK, to get admission in UK is like you don't even just submit your document, they'll give you admission, but it's the funding aspect that is the problem. They will give you £2,000 or £3,000 out of 10,000 or 15,000 requirements. So how will you do the rest? So most people who are going to school in the UK, go and ask them. They are paying their parents are paying for them from Nigeria. Most of them, you just go and ask them. But ask how many students in the US are their parents pay for their school fees. So you do that analysis. Forget about sharing. Sharing is well known and commonwealth. I'm talking about going through the back door. So you understand that you have more opportunities. And because I belong to one scholarship WhatsApp group, they always posting scholarship details. I say like people are just like struggling. People are just, really, ask you like, have you posted anyone today? Is there any available scholarship for us to apply to? People have applied to 10, 20, 30 scholarships. They are still where they are because they are competing with thousands of people looking for the same slot. But whereas there are so many programs that you have the qualification that somebody is willing to admit you, but you are not going there because you think that they might not have the money. But you haven't asked, you haven't researched for yourself. So if you're really out for getting a funded program, you really need to make the move and stop, thinking that there's no opportunity for you, right? So what this forum does is always giving you list of scholarships that are available, the things to look out for, right? So this is like clearing your eyes, but there is more to that, and you have to take this step forward, to really get what you want.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So thank you so much for that. I think I got something from what you've said. Some people are going out there to compete with thousands and millions of other people who are applying for the same scholarships, and especially the popular one, the popular scholarships. Whereas
Yeah,
there are scholarships that people don't know about, which can be accessed through the school portal. I think
yeah,
the aid section of every university portal is one of the most important for international students.
exactly,
Thank you so much.
exactly,
Do you have
exactly.
another tip for the people who are watching us tonight before we get to the question and answer section of this conversation? And if you're watching us, please get the questions ready. Drop them in the comment section. Mr. Pantaleon is going to answer them. Okay, sir,
Okay,
please.
yeah. So before we go into the question and answers, the tip that I have for you, because I like showing people, how things are done, right? Rather than telling you, let me do this thing for you, let me give you this. Because at the end of the day, I may not be available to keep telling people, you know, giving them the details or the information. But if I show you how this can be done better, it's much more easier for you when I'm not there. So first thing I have to say is, I think someone commented something like that. You have to be intentional about applying to any scholarship or funding, and you have to start on time. So being intentional means knowing that this is what you want, this is what you want to do, and this is why you are going for this particular one.
Yeah.
Right? So the reason why you are going for the particular one is what will set you apart, because in some application form, they'll ask you, have you applied to any other school or any other scholarship opportunity? Like when I was applying to Notre Dame, they asked me, what other schools have you applied to? I give them like, applied to this school in the UK, I went to this school, and these schools, right, are schools that are doing the same program that I'm applying for. here in the US. You understand? So it is now like a competition between the schools to choose me as opposed to me choosing the schools, right?
Yeah.
If they ask me, have you applied to any school? I say no, I've not applied to any school. This is the only school I want to apply for, which is nice. You feel like you're very, very interested in this particular school, but it doesn't provide additional edge as to why they will take you. I believe that if you give them an opportunity to know that other schools are considering you at the same
Yeah.
time they are considering you, to let them, okay, let's take this guy. That's if you are qualified and if you have something that they are looking for, right? So, but making your program to look the same. Not like you're applying for food science in UK, you're applying for agriculture in this. Then there is no like it doesn't add. But if it's the same consistent program that you're applying for in this, you know that you're spreading your chances, but you're intentional about studying this program. So that's something that I see people make mistake a lot about. So be intentional about why you're applying to this program and why this school is really important for it. Another thing is the references, the statement of purpose, your CV, your GRE texts, your GPA are the things you have to have ahead of time. I told you, like, everyone is not the same. You might not really have the capacity as me to get all these things within 24, 48 hours. Sometimes it might take you time.
Yeah.
I like to warn that reference letters bear the greatest influence. If you want to argue that with me or any other person, you are free. I tell you, reference letters, they bear the greatest influence. Not even your statement of purpose, not even your CV. Those things are good, they are great, they are requirements and they must be provided. But in terms of having an impact, because scholarships or admissions are made by admission committee, right? They have to sit in a room and everybody and every member of the committee has to bring their own candidate, like, who have you reviewed the application, why and why not. Sometimes they listen to their colleagues more. What I mean by colleagues, like if a professor is writing your reference letter, they want to know what other professors think about you. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside your qualification, outside your CGP, outside what you have written, what does this professor think about you being a student in this school? So I think that bears a lot of weight because there was a time I was in class and one of the professors that I highlighted in my application, she told me like while they were discussing about our admission, they mentioned my name. I asked her why. How did they know me? They said no, they didn't know you, but they know that you know them. Because I talked about the professor, like her work, and what she has done. I would like to get to see her and also like to, start being in her class or something like that. So that really has a lot of impact, right? The way our lecturers write in Nigeria or elsewhere in Africa is very little, compared to how the faculty in the United States universities will want your reference letters to be. I used to have reference letters in the provider, like to who it may concern. This is certified as this person, I know him, he's this, he's that. Therefore, I recommend him for this opportunity. That's the kind of that's that's the kind of language that I see in most of the reference letters I have seen, from back home. There is more to that, right? The person has to comment on the details of your capacity to undertake a graduate study plus the research is really important because selling you as a promising student is helpful, especially for PhD, since you'll be working and helping a professor with their research and teaching assistantship. So they want to know that you won't be a liability to their funding investment in you, rather someone who will bring knowledge, produce ideas and attract prestige to their institution. So you have to be very careful about who you choose, right, to be your referee. Don't just choose any lecturer. And the lecturer doesn't just, write, anything that you have to like comment details like, how you progressed, how you were able to, take this course, how you assist, just giving like stage by stage, narration of your capacity as someone who is committed and who can, handle any kind of, situation, during studies. Then, depending on whether master's or PhD, it is important to know the faculty in the department ahead of time because mentioning their names, in your application will go a long way. Find out those whose work align with your research interest and reach out to them. I did that, I look at the professor whose book or her articles and work is related to what I'm interested in learning or studying during the program. And I mentioned her in my statement of intent, how her work is very, very, important to what I will study. And, there's no way that I won't be able to achieve my aim as a student if I have somebody like her in that department. And as it would be, she was one of the people that I reviewed our application. Kind of you
This
know,
is
you,
top
you know,
notch.
yeah, this is like it's not like this is like lobbying blindly. You didn't know
Yeah,
who, but it just happened. But I'm not saying like it's I'm just saying it as lobbying, but it's something like really because I was so passionate about it that I was interested in looking at the professors. What are they into? What have they written about? Right? Even most of the schools I applied for in UK, there's some professors that I've read about their work in that department because this is an area I'm interested in. I've been doing peace building work. Even while I was in Futo studying a different course, I was interested in doing another thing, right? So then they'll know that you are really out for this. And so you have to know the rules and make sure you predict the process. That is, know what is going to happen after each stage. And if you can predict the process, then it will give you enough information to make a stronger argument in your documents and what you are writing.
wow.
The only secret I always tell people, like, why are you traveling to this place? Why are you going here? My brother, the secret is I always go to where I'm overqualified. Like, it's
Right?
not it's not an indication of lack of competence. I always tell people like it's better that you are always smiling. It's better you always like you got this than when you are so anxious or so tense that you don't know what the outcome will be. Right? I've competed at different levels, or like whether it is applying to attend a conference, applying for international opportunities, not just school, right? I'll look at the programs and I know what they want. And if I have it, I give it to them. If I don't have it, then if I know that I will have a little bit of struggle in this, I will try my best, then I would like to compete. But if I really want this, then I have to make sure that I have all the details that is required, plus other details that will set me apart. So that's what I mean by being overqualified, that you have enough information that the reviewers or the committee cannot withstand not taking you, right?
Wow.
So and lastly, but not the least, you have to spread your chances. To be honest, spread your chances. Like I mentioned, if you're applying, you also have to, tell them that yeah, like you're applying to other schools that have the same opportunity as them. Like they have, there's some other scholarship that apply to different schools for the same program. But it make them to think twice, right? If they are actually missing something, if they don't admit you, or if, some of a thing. Like if you're really competent, they would think that other schools it will be a competition, as opposed to just like throwing you out of the window, right? So you have to spread your chances and make sure that you're in a way where if you don't get this, you can get this. But don't be so obsessed with any scholarship that comes out. You apply. But be intentional about the ones that you apply to, even if it's 2 or 3 at most, then that will make your case stronger. I listened to someone before talk about writing essays that are the same, then you change the names of schools and stuff like that. Well, while that might be really helpful to some people, but I feel like every institution has information that's like that set them up,
Yeah, yes.
right? I feel like every institution has information like Notre Dame cannot be the same thing as Harvard. If I'm applying to Harvard, my tone will change, right? The way I write my essays to Harvard will change. Because places like Harvard, they like to listen to stories of your process. What happened to you? What made you? At what point in your life did you realize that this is the best decision for you? If you're applying to this, so the essays cannot be there. I know it's a lot of work writing 2 or 3 essays. People like to do that. They'll just write the same essay. They'll change the program, change the school name, change some certain things, but the language is still the same. But it doesn't sound so convincing because at the end of the day, you feel like you don't know this school, right? But if a school like reading your essay sees that you are speaking you speak like you're already part of them, so they will know that you understand. So that's why
Yeah.
like it's enough to see a school and apply, but study like what do they say on their website? What is their values? What are their goals? What are their mission statements? What is the school known for and why is that? Understand where you are going first, so that when you are writing, you convince them that you belong to this community, right? So I will stop here and see if there are other questions. I know we already out of time, but let's see
This is
what we can do.
amazing. This is amazing. The value is so much. Uh, I'm really learning a lot, and people are already sending out comments saying how much they're learning from this program. So please, if you're still on this call, to be nice if you do use the share button to share this video to your audience. They will learn a lot from it. Okay. So do you have questions? I'm here to get some questions in the comment section. If you have questions, it's 1 hour already in this conversation. We do like to take your questions. And where we don't have more questions, we will need to get a final word from Mr. Pantaleon before we call it a day. So just give us a final word, and if we have question in the process, I'll project it on the screen. You're mute, please. You're mute, please.
Yeah. Sorry, I just realized. I saw somebody asking about like IELTS and it says most scholarship require IELTS certificate, but sometimes it is hard to get a scholarship that you may apply for and then submit IELTS certificate later. So one thing I would say, about that one is sometimes they will tell you that like you need to have English like IELTS or TOEFL, but the other times you will hear things like if you're from a country that you studied in English, that it might not be needed, right? So, but some schools make it like it's as a strict requirement, whether you study in English or not. As long as you're not from America or UK, you have to bring those documents. So the thing is, that's why I say like don't shy away from writing emails, right? Don't shy away from writing. Sometimes, if you have the time before you submit, write to the admission department, asking them about, tell them your situation. Sometimes they waive it for you. They might not waive it for others because of you made your case clear. Like you speak English, you study in English for 5 years or 4 years in your country. English is your official language. So I don't see the reason why they want you to take a test if you have passed all your exams in English from where you are from. So in my own case, like for example, my school, those requirements are there, but I didn't submit because I'm from Nigeria. Not everybody knows Nigerians speak English. So I was, I was able to get like a waiver. Although my department waives that, but it's a general admission requirement. But my department waives English requirement for people. Yeah, so it is what I would say. I can't comment on every school, but it's usually very important to ask them. So write an email and make that inquiry. So if they insist that you must get it, then you need to get it. That's what is required. But sometimes they will ask you to bring like a letter from your school that shows that English was a language of instruction as opposed to writing the test. So find out what can work for you, and then they can waive it for you or ask you for additional documents.
Okay. I think that answers that. This person is asking if your scholarship was fully funded.
Yes, like I said earlier, it's a free money, so so it's fully funded. So fully funded is the tuition is 100% covered, and also the living expenses is also like your stipend. Your stipend is more like the money they pay you as a student assistant. So every graduate student is eligible to be a student assistant. That is, you can assist a professor in a class, so they pay you per hour. So, but everything was run or kind of funded. So there's a specific amount they pay us every year, throughout the 2-year period. So it's 100% covered. Yeah.
Amazing. I don't think we'll have more questions.
Yeah, I think people will watch the video much more later as
Yeah.
opposed to with live. So yeah, that would be very helpful.
Okay. So possibly when if you watch this video later, go ahead, drop your question in the comment section. I'm certain that Mr. Pantaleon will be on the comment section to also attend to us. And our team at Comfort Forum will also be there to assist with relevant links to answer your questions. Okay? So please. Okay, Mr. Pantaleon, what is your last word for our audience tonight?
Yeah. So the thing I have to say is, if you are really seeking to get a funded opportunity for your program, whether it's a master's or PhD or even research or postdoc, it's usually important to um, seek out specific information from the school or from the department that offers your program and try to find out what opportunities are available. So they read emails from prospective students and they try as much as possible to answer their questions so that they will know that they have enough information before they apply. Also, like I stated before, don't just write anything in your statement of purpose because that's where they kind of have an idea of who you are and be able to kind of discern whether you are the kind of person they are looking for. So you have to speak the language that fits into the community you are hoping to get in, right? So don't use generic write-ups for every school. It doesn't help because then you will lose touch of kind of what this school is all about, like how this school is different from the other school. And the thing like they don't, I feel like Americans don't like, if you ask you to do like this, you do this way. So before you do anything, they have to. So if there is any requirement that they are looking for that you don't have, don't just submit your application hoping that a miracle will happen, right? So you have to make sure that if you have any situation, you have to make sure that you write to them, they know about you so that when they see your application, they know that they have already given you a consent for this or that. So overall, start on time. Looking for schools, applying, everything start on time. You might not have the same speed and grace as me, but it's usually very important to start on time to do whatever you want to do. That's all I
Thank
have.
you so much. It's been an amazing time with you, Ms. Pantaleon. I really appreciate your time and the value you've shared with us today. You see, we've had a lot of people watch from all around the world. A number of people made comments on this program. As you can see, Mr. Victor, Victory, Vincent, Miracle. These are people who showed up on this call tonight and all of their comments. So thank you so much. You have really added value to a lot of lives tonight by means of this conversation. So hopefully some other time we are going to get you on board to do us a practical demonstration of his effort. What do you think about that?
Oh
You
wow!
apply,
Thank you
you
so
apply for
much.
me. You're going to apply for me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I hope everyone have like the. I know like not everyone is kind of prepared for for whatever it is when it comes to applying for scholarship and stuff, but I believe that the US as it is one of the easiest place to get this kind of opportunity, if you ask me, right? Uh, because it's the most diverse country on this planet. Where you have so many international students, so many from different countries, and I don't know the kind of myth or what people think is happening in the United States, but I feel this place is the kind of a place where you come and you feel like you are not afraid of anything. So if you even on campus, there's this level of diversity on campuses where you have people from different places who are not from the United States. So if you have a shot, if you have any intention of studying in the US, I think it's the best thing to do. So you have to pursue it and really keep focused on it.
All right. Thank you so much. I think
All right.
time is past tense. Someone is saying I asked a question earlier. I guess my network messed up and didn't deliver. Can I repeat it, please? What do you think, Mr. Pantaleon?
Yeah, I mean, I still have a couple of minutes. If they can put it now, I can answer it quickly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Mr. Thank you for your comments. Watching us from Malaysia. A number of people watch us from Nigeria, some from Ethiopia, and a lot of other places. So, look at what this person is saying. Look at the screen.
there is always an option for everybody. There's always like an option for everybody. You'll be surprised if you find somebody from your village in Stanford. Like you're surprised if you find somebody from your community even. So it is an open place, and like I said, this country is so diverse. So there's no campus that you would go to you wouldn't see somebody who looks like you or somebody who is from where you're from. So yeah, it is quite open. Just to find out if Stanford or MIT is doing the program you're interested in, like I said, and try to find out what financial aids are available to people who are from your place. But most of the times, if it's international, it's international. So no country is exempted, except if they have any kind of restriction with the United States. But all the best. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. I mean, you can shoot me questions anytime, either on Facebook or mostly Facebook or Twitter. I can be able to just come straight with your question. No need for hello, hi. I'll be waiting for my reply. That's whatever you want. Just drop the question there. If I know the answer, I will answer it, and that's it. So that would be very much helpful. It depends. It depends. 2-2 in Nigeria is not the same as 2-2 in the US. So the grading system they use here is 4.0, not 5 points. I don't know which country you are from, but you're from Nigeria. So we use 5.0 in Nigeria. Here in the United States, they use 4.0. That's why sometimes some schools ask you to use WES evaluation so that they will know the corresponding level. But I think the cutoff for most US schools is 3.0, which is something as having 3.5 over 5 points in Nigeria. So I don't know if that is helpful or not. I think if this video is longer than it is now, it's very worrying for somebody to rewatch it again.
Yeah, so I think we should.
I would say we can end the section, but you keep asking your questions, then I can answer in the comment section.
All right, I think that would be a better answer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, everybody watching us, do drop a thank you message to Mr. Pantaleon in the comment section. And Mr. Pantaleon, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for showing up on this call. I really appreciate it. I think the
no
audience
problem.
sends their thanks.
All right. Thank you so much.
You have a good time. Yes, and follow us on our social media handles at World Scholarship Forum on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on Facebook if you're watching this program. Okay? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. God bless. Signing out from this end.